John Paul here, coming at you from CPAC 2023 for GOUSA with Rachel from George Magazine, otherwise known as Right Side Blonde, right?
Yes, Right Side Blonde, that's my pen name, and great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great to be here, and thank you for joining us. Great seeing you again a few weeks ago at the Clay Clark event.
Yes, that was great, and I loved what you were doing, so I'm happy to be with you again and talk about your OppScore and everything that you guys are doing over on your side of things.
Well, thank you. We're getting a lot of excitement around this idea of a screaming loud voice of the people through an app called the OppScore. And we say it's not red versus blue, it's them versus you, which is really where most Americans are at, I think. But let's talk for a moment about George Magazine, because I'm from Massachusetts. When I was a very young boy, a long time ago, I greatly admired John F. Kennedy. I was always a fan of the Kennedy family, even though I'm a Republican up in the Northeast, a conservative. John F. Kennedy was always a different story, and so was JFK Jr. So can you tell people about the relaunch of George? I was super excited to see that. JFK's magazine from years ago.
Yes, so JFK Jr. started this magazine in 1995, and we just recently relaunched it. October of 2022 was our first issue. Our 5th issue just came out February 22nd of this year, and it's been going really well. We're starting from the ground up again. We're slowly building it. We have a skeleton crew located all across the United States. It's a very interesting story. But we're doing our best to honor the legacy of what George was, and that was to put out the truth, put out facts, and let people kind of discern what they want to believe, and get back to true journalism and just sharing information and letting people decide what they want to believe, what they want to trust in, who they want to trust in.
And I love that, because first of all, the beauty is that there is, I think, the admiration for John F. Kennedy is across the country a rare figure that wasn't very polarizing. Everyone really stood behind JFK and JFK Jr. And then the second thing I think is interesting is that we have to go back prior to the digital age, to the 1990s, to get back to real journalism. In a way, that's what's happening, right? It's like, how did they do it back when there wasn't all this corruption and this spamming and removing misinformation? And go back to real journalism, right? Let the people decide. Don't be playing a cop and figuring, the gods deciding which information should be read, aka Hunter's laptop, and which should be covered up, right?
Right. And I actually own all of the old George magazines. I have the full collection, and I've read quite a few of them. I have a show where I talk about them. That's how I ended up with George Magazine, is because I have all of them. And it's interesting, it's like a time capsule. You can't delete a magazine. So the articles that are in there and the information that was shared in the 1990s really helped me connect some dots, and that's why I started that show, was just to help other people see how long this has really been going on, and also to skirt around some of the censorship of YouTube, which is crazy. I mean, you can't even go on YouTube and say what you think anymore, even though it's your opinion. We live in America, and we're supposed to have freedom of speech, and it's being taken away from us. So the George magazines for me have been kind of an education into politics. I wasn't really into politics, as a lot of Americans are really getting into it now. And it's just been it's been such a journey and an interesting, look into the history through a magazine rather than an encyclopedia.
Yes, much more interesting, much more fun to read by a million miles, right? And like you said, you can't censor. I mean, you can burn books, you can burn magazines, short of burning them. Yep. The data is there. I know they're going to books now, trying to change words in movies and kids' books, and because it's not woke. People used to say sir and ma'am. People, it was Mr. They would say the word he, meaning all of mankind, mankind. Mankind isn't a sexist term. It's just a word, but everything. So I love what you're doing, because you're bringing back some real journalism.
Yes, that is absolutely the goal. That and just uniting America. We've been so, for the last 5-6 years, we've been just at war with each other, it seems like, and it's time to come together. Even just as a party, it feels like there's some,
a lot of infighting.
A lot of infighting right now. It's time to come together and really just unite America, left and right, everybody.
Yeah, we need to unite, and I agree. I mean, my philosophy is you don't bend, people say there's too much partisanship, and there is. But there's also this thing that we have to reach across the aisle. Okay, if reaching across the aisle means denying your ethics and morals, and saying, okay, I'll agree to kill babies from birth or something insane, right? Yeah. Okay, there's a line you don't cross.
Right.
When it comes to the Constitution and values. But beyond that, you can work together on, as long as it's ethical and constitutional, work together. As long as it's ethical and constitutional, it's with the will of the people. If 80% want voter ID, for example, they should get voter ID. It's ethical, constitutional, and for the people. Now I'll say a couple things more that I think you might like.
Okay.
The rating system we invented, the OppScore, we show, it's not left versus right, it's not red versus blue, it's them versus you is our motto. And typically Republicans do better because they're more populist today.
Yeah.
But the first one that shows up on our rating system is John F. Kennedy.
I love it.
And he's got the same score, almost identical score as Ronald Reagan. And people are like, wait a minute. Yes, it wasn't always like this. People used to be more united.
Yeah, and people say, the whole saying of, I didn't lead the Democratic Party left me, and that's a perfect example of how far left it's gone just in 20-some years. It's really interesting, and I hope the left kind of takes notice of this, how far the line keeps moving. Like you said, I don't want to give up my morals and my ethics because of what you believe in. We are Americans. We can have a conversation, though. We can do it, in a civil way, and that's been lacking in the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, it's only gotten more divisive, but your average American is not that divisive. It's really the more I read, the more we see when you learn about this OppScore system and this Bill of Rights we're writing to, that's for the world, to one set of standards, what's right, what's wrong. We need to get to a common consensus on this for this planet to survive, I think.
Yes.
Socialism, Marxism, no, absolutely not, right?
Right.
No killing people, no killing babies, no. You can't do that. We will not survive as a planet. So I think you agree with me on that, right?
Absolutely, I couldn't have said it any better.
We will not make it. So thank God you're working on our side and on the right side.
Yes. Right side blonde, right?
Right side blonde. And I'd love to get more involved with George Magazine and maybe form a coalition. We are forming a coalition called the Opportunity Federation, which is organizations that share common values and common sense for the people, for the Constitution view of politics. Yep. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can do more together. I'd love to do an article with you guys.
I would love to just enhance what your mission is, and that is just to get information out to the American people and let them, like I said earlier, let them discern who they want to vote for based on the facts.
The facts. We do these things side by side. You decide. The voters decide. You put common sense out. You know where they're going to decide. 89% of the time. So thank you for your time, Rachel. Great meeting you again here at CPAC. Enjoy your trip. Your first CPAC, right?
First CPAC ever. It's big, but it's been fun.
All right, great. All right, everybody, God bless.